Okay, so we're just getting started up now. Today I'm interviewing Marcus Follin, aka the Golden One. This interview is being recorded, and the replay will be available at the Vegan Muscle Academy, and you can find the link in the description below for that. You will also find links to Marcus's YouTube channel and website linked below. So do check those out. Marcus is not a vegan, but he has tried to reduce his animal product consumption for environmental reasons and to improve his health. And recently he embarked upon a dairy-free challenge. I'm gonna put my earphones in. This is gonna be an audio-only interview. In case you guys are wondering why there's no visuals. Hey, Marcus.
All right, hello, hi.
How are you doing? Thanks for joining this today.
Oh, thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Sure. Is there anything you'd like to start out by saying to everyone before I jump into the questions?
No, not really. I suppose I will elaborate on a lot of things as we go, so we can jump straight to the questions and then leave plenty of room for those.
Sounds great. Sounds great. So I want to start out by first asking, when did you first start working out?
I've basically worked out my entire life. Started with football, or as you call it in America, soccer, as basically all Swedish little boys do. So I played that from I was about 5, 6 to 12, and then I actually didn't train that much. I spent some time in the gym, but that was more to hang out with friends, etc. And then when I was 16, I started training Thai boxing and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And I did that up until my military service. And when I got out of the military, I started lifting, actually. And that was about 6.5 years ago. So I've been lifting regularly for about 6 years.
Oh, great. It's great. I actually didn't even know you had started Thai boxing or any kind of martial art that soon. That's really cool. I thought it was something you had gotten into from your channel a little more recently, actually, or within recent years.
Okay, no, that was actually my first love, as it were. I grew up with all these kung fu films, etc. That was a huge inspiration for me, especially Jet Li and all of those guys. So then I thought to myself, like, okay, cool, I'm gonna give this a go. And so that was actually my first love before I got into the iron.
Oh, sounds cool. And on the note of lifting weights, what program would you say, and looking back at all the programs you used from current to the past, has worked best for you in terms of gaining both size and strength?
I would say push-pull legs training 6 times a week. However, I did probably get the most gains from your average bro split, but that was also in the beginning. So I suppose that is more to do with the noob gains than anything else. You make gains whatever you do. So I did actually start off with a bro split, the typical chest on Monday and then legs on Tuesday, etc. But what I felt when I was on my best training streak, as it were, it was probably push-pull legs 6 times a week.
And would you say that, I mean, how long did you run a bro split before you jumped into push-pull legs? Would you say halfway into your lifting time, 3/4?
About a year, I'd say.
Oh, okay.
So it wasn't any longer than that, because I started off, as a lot of guys do, not really knowing what I did really. And then I progressed both in terms of strength and in terms of fitness knowledge. And then eventually I started reading on bodybuilding.com, actually, and then some Swedish training forums, and then got a bit more of the science aspect behind it, because I've always been a guy who respects evidence and science more so over general anecdotes from bodybuilders. So
that's actually a really good point. Yeah, because I know some guys, they'll get in there, they use bro splits for their entire training time. Some guys, they don't discover or even think to use push-pull split. I know in my case, I used bro splits for, I'd say, half the time I was lifting it. It's definitely not preferable.
Yeah, no, definitely not. But kind of easy to get influenced if all the the big bodybuilders who are obviously on huge amounts of gear, and they train a certain way. You get influenced by that. So it's quite common, I'd say, unfortunately.
Yeah, it is, unfortunately. And the thing is because bodybuilders don't often talk about their gear use, a lot of guys will think that is the optimal way to train. They won't even consider the classic ways of like full body or even push-pull legs, which is more of an 80s style. Yeah, that's actually a really good point. What was your lifestyle like prior to your transformation in bodybuilding?
It was quite active enough, I suppose. So quite not the biggest transition, because I was in the army for a year. That was the old style of Swedish army service, as it were. And then I was obviously used to, not working out in the gym per se, but you got a lot of training and led an active life because you were out and about all the time. So it was quite easy to transition into the kind of fitness lifestyle, if you will. And then also when I trained martial arts when I was younger, that was also kind of the same routine of the day, that I went to school, ate a bit, went to training, went home, played some video games, and read some books. And that kind of routine was still the same. So it wasn't really a big leap for me to go into the fitness lifestyle with going to the gym 6 times a week and eating properly, because I was always used to that kind of style of living.
Okay, perfect. I was actually going to ask about how your diet was prior to that as well, as part of the whole transformation thing, but it sounds like you were on point pretty much before.
Well, that was also a learning experience, actually. So when I was about 16 or 17, I wasn't really all too sure about how to get shredded. I had no concept of macronutrients and that whole story, but I had a general notion of trying to eat quote unquote healthy, at least, with fruits and greens and protein, etc. But I didn't really know that that whole calculation and your daily macros, etc. So that came later on as I started delving deeper into nutrition and strength training.
Okay, and I got I guess kind of a side question here on the same topic, but how do you find gyms in Ireland versus the gyms in Sweden?
They're quite similar, I suppose. It's all about finding the right type of gym. Actually, probably the best gym I've been to was Galway City Gym. I was actually studying in Galway. That was my first trip to Ireland, actually. And that was a perfect gym, with a great atmosphere. Everyone was competing. Everyone was really into the gym lifestyle. So really found a home there. So that Galway City Gym, perfect gym. But then we have those kind of gyms in Sweden as well, where, the serious guys come in and train and, know each other, support each other, push each other. So I generally, no matter which country I'm in, I prefer these kind of gyms where, the other guys there, and it's kind of a familiar sense to the whole gym. So I wouldn't be able to train at one of those commercial gyms. That would be excruciatingly boring for me, actually.
Actually, I was going to bring that up because in America we have such a disparity in types of gyms. We have gyms that are considered hardcore as fuck. Like you got like your Gold's Gym in Venice, which kind of brings in all walks of life. But there are the hardcore guys who that's like the mecca for them. And the same thing we have it on the East Coast, but you also have like pansy ass gyms. And no offense to anyone who trains at one of these, but gyms like Planet Fitness, which are just a joke. You have like Smith machines and no racks. And
so I would actually go as far as to say that part of my success, if you will, when it comes to training has a lot to do with having the fortune of having trained at good gyms, because I genuinely don't think I would be in the same position if I only had access to generic Planet Fitness style gyms. I believe that that's a huge factor, to have somewhere you are comfortable and you can just go balls to the wall and train hard as you can.
Totally. And who or what kind of an image, what has inspired you the most in bodybuilding or powerlifting, and why?
The most, I would probably say Gerard Butler in the film 300. So Leonidas in 300. That was probably, it was not my first and not my last inspiration, but that was definitely the strongest. So I saw 300 with some of my friends when I was 17, and I thought to myself, that is exactly how I want to look. So that has continued to be my inspiration. But then when I was a bit younger, Brad Pitt in Troy had a pretty cool physique and cool hair as well. So that style of an epic hero, basically.
What do you think of Chris Hemsworth as Thor?
Yeah, I like him. He has a really good physique, really cool hair and beard as well. I'm a bit jealous of the role though, but I gave it to him. It's fine.
Oh, gotcha. I had to ask that question, so I had to put that in there. Why do you think it's important for men to care about lifting?
God, that's a really broad topic. But to go with the health aspect, I mean, to not lift, to not activate yourself is severely detrimental to your health, especially if you are working at a desk job, sitting down a lot of the time. Your body will deteriorate fast, and you will not be healthy and you will not be productive. So even if you don't really have any strive to be as big or strong as you can, it's still important to maintain your health. And then also we have the whole masculinity topic, that you will feel more like a man, and that is, you know, linked to happiness as well among men. So I think that you should train something hard and heavy, and also something violent. So I think that martial arts and lifting is the perfect combo for both mental and physical health for a man.
I totally agree with that. And do you think it's the same thing for women, or do you have a different reason why you think women should lift?
Well, with women, I'd say that they obviously do not have the same mental health reasons for violence, even though I suggest that as a woman you train some sort of self-defense as well. And then also for I also recommend all women should lift as a part of you know, feeling happy, feeling healthy, and just being fit, because you will have an increased happiness in life, an increased life quality, if you actually train hard and heavy, even for a girl. And for all girls who are listening to this, you probably already know this, but I can tell you again, you will not get too big. That's impossible unless you inject a lot of hormones. It's always the big question when you talk to women about lifting weights. They're afraid that they're gonna get too big, but no, you won't. You will get a lovely toned body.
And how do you maintain your physique year round? Do you do a standard bulk or cut, or do you stay lean? Is it more of like a recomp type thing?
No, I go with a traditional winter bulk, actually. So this winter, for example, I've spent focusing more on martial arts, actually, and not as much. I haven't kept a clean diet at all. I've been, you know, quite generous with the caloric surplus, as it were, to say the least. And now I'm cutting down a bit, so I look decent for the summer, actually.
Do you do any kind of cardio, or is it just the martial arts? Do you consider that your cardio?
Yeah, now during my cut at the moment, I am not training martial arts because I'm away from my club. So then I do power walks instead. So I listen to podcasts and out walking an hour a day, basically, to just create that little extra caloric expenditure.
And in case you all are aware, Marcus does, or has, depending on his schedule, he works with clients. And based on, you know, working with clients and seeing people around you, what are the biggest mistakes you see people making with their diet and their training?
Probably it would be switching things up too much too fast. So basically what I tell clients and people coming for advice is that we look at the diet and then make gradual adjustments to it. Because if you don't, say if you have a really, really bad diet and you try to completely switch from one day to the other, completely switch to the cleanest and best diet there ever was, it can be very hard to maintain that. And then you will perhaps revert back to your former diet. So that is something I usually keep in mind when I work with clients, that it can be a gradual transition into changing small things that eventually will make a big difference.
That's a good point, actually. That's a very good point. And what are some of the best 3 tips someone looking to reach their physique goal can embark upon?
Well, first of all, I would like to say that everyone should view it kind of mathematically. So if you view your training as numbers, so if you bench 100 kg and you want to get bigger breasts, bigger pecs, view it as a journey to get that number up. So you have 100 kilo, you want to get that to 110 kilo. That's the basics of it, and then you view each exercise that way, because there's a misconception that stems from bodybuilding when you have this big bodybuilder saying, oh, you know, don't care about the weight, it's only the feeling and the pump that matters. But that doesn't apply for naturals. If you're a natural, you need to force your body to adapt. You need to force every session some sort of growth, and the best way you can do that is actually to either increase the amount of repetitions. So if you go with 3 sets of 5 repetition, try to increase to 3 sets of 6 repetition, or try to increase the weight with 2.5 kg. So you constantly add to your effort, because otherwise it's just guesswork.
Yeah.
If you just guess like, oh, I had a good session, but how do you really know that you had a good session? And the same thing with a diet as well, that you can calculate your protein intake to make sure that you get in adequate amount of protein. So to eliminate that guesswork, basically.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's something that I've seen with people I've worked with. The same thing, like they might sit at a weight and they think they could do more, but they just don't push the extra. And yeah, that could, I totally get what you're saying with that. So what are your favorite vegan bodybuilding meals?
It must be tofu with sesame seed oil. Have in some mushrooms, have in some corn and a bit of rice, and then you fry all that together, and some asparagus as well. Yeah, you can throw in a lot of things. Some spinach also. Spinach is a staple in my diet. So that would probably be my favorite, and that's basically my standard lunch as well. So 500 grams of tofu in addition to a lot of greens.
Totally. And of course, everyone, he has done Gaines Kitchens with vegan bodybuilding recipes and foods. You can always check that out over his channel as well. In fact, I think I remember you doing a tofu with sesame seed oil.
Yeah, that's the recipe. Yeah. That's I love that one. So delicious.
And here's a big one that a lot of people have been wanting to know. How is the dairy-free trial going?
Yeah, I was actually gonna do a video on that in the coming days. And to be completely honest, I can't really say that I feel that much of a difference. But then, you know, it can be a lot of factors playing in as well. But what I think I will do going forward is that I will not go completely dairy-free, but I will probably stop drinking milk except for the coffee, and then I will stop eating dairy in most things, with the exception of, say, pastries, etc. So I don't want to limit myself too much, but I want to remove it from being a staple diet. So I'm not going to drink a liter of milk every day, for example. I will more use a tiny splash of coffee, milk in the coffee. So that's basically my thoughts on it. But to conclude, yeah, I will continue to drastically reduce it moving forward.
Have you tried any vegan protein powders, say like rice and pea in place of whey, for instance?
Yeah, I have. I have tried My Protein's vegan blend and also My Protein's brown rice protein. And I'm gonna be honest, they are not quite as tasty as whey, but you can drink it either way. The brown rice protein I wouldn't actually recommend because the texture there is quite grainy, as it were. The vegan blend is quite okay though.
I noticed that just a little advice I can throw to everybody. With pea protein, for instance, which is in a lot of these blends, I find that chocolate flavoring masks some of the earthy tones in the pea. So if anyone's embarking on vegan protein powders for the first time, definitely a good flavoring can mask some of the earthy tones in vegan protein powders. If that's a factor in why it might be hard for you guys to transition. So moving along from that, what projects are you currently working on?
I'm actually working on an academic endeavor. I have a thesis for the university that I have to complete this May, and that's also why people might have seen less frequent uploads from me on my YouTube channel. So that's why I'm focusing on just getting my thesis done in the university, and then later on in the summer again, early June, I will resume my usual uploading frequency. And then other than that, I have my clothing brand coming along nicely, looking at new designs there, and then also my book that I'm writing, Heroes of the Kali Yuga, will be a philosophical / self-improvement work, actually.
Oh, cool. And what's the biggest challenge you're facing at the moment?
That's probably the to try to stay away from social media, since I've been active like so active during the last 2 years, trying to upload things on Instagram, Facebook, almost trying to have a daily upload on YouTube. And the biggest challenge is definitely to try to break that habit, break that pattern, so I'm able to focus on my studies. So that's actually quite a challenge to break your habit of going into Facebook and trying to upload something fun or interesting. But I'm managing quite well, I'd say.
Does that also include video games like The Elder Scrolls?
No, actually, I do this. I play on in the evening time.